My Brother David by Pamela Ang, Alexandria, 2015. Narrated by Chloe Schwank. When I look back in time, I have vivid memories of the many people who have been influential in my life, for better or worse. Some have caused me intense grief, but others have offered me the most wonderful joy. My brother David fits into that latter category. As a young child, I remember an occasion when a rare, initially pleasant visit to see my aunt and uncle morphed within hours into a disastrous altercation about money and status. As we left, my uncle delivered the icing on the cake of insults he'd been shooting at my father. Something about how Dad's prized Holden was a midget, small enough to fit in the boot of his big Ford. His "you're a loser" sneer made Dad explode. After we left, on the long drive home with the night's free-flowing alcohol accelerant igniting underlying fires of discontent and resentment, Dad started up about how my aunt had only married my uncle because he was filthy rich. In a flash, Mum shot back that she wished she had done something like that too, and it was on. As their rage intensified, and the car began eating the dark road at an increasingly terrifying speed, David and I huddled together in the back, wondering how long it would be before we hit a tree or overturned. "Don't worry, Woo," he murmured soothingly into my ear with an almost preternatural calm, holding me tightly in his arms. "They're in front. If we crash, they'll die, but we'll be okay. We're in the back. The very safest place to be in an accident." Not exactly true, of course. At that speed, in a time of no seatbelts, we'd all have been goners. But it was an incredibly comforting thought to offer me. Even in the face of his own fear, David, who at 11 was only 4 years my senior, was cool enough to assess the situation and come out with a best-case scenario. As I grew older and more intellectually interesting to him, David and I spent more time together. To me, he was a living encyclopedia, grasping many adult concepts early and easily, and sharing his ideas with me, enriching my understanding of so much. He had an insatiable desire to learn, partly stemming from the humiliating fallout he experienced as a young boy after he'd lied to our parents, both teachers, about coming first in an exam rather than 12th, believing academic success to be the key to their hearts. Dad, not understanding why he'd lied, had been very angry. This devastated David, but it toughened him too. He decided then and there that he would always be first in future, and he was. When he matriculated at 16, his picture made the front page of the Sydney Morning Herald, a huge feat for a country boy from a public school, and Dad steered him straight into medicine at Sydney Uni on a Commonwealth scholarship. Over the years, David and I became increasingly close. He was the only one I could speak to about simply everything, and trust to have my back when it counted. My rock. Not that we always got on, though. Once we had a ferocious row after he dobbed on me to Dad about something I'd done, leaving me frothing with impotent rage. Living as we were then, near a lagoon in a house with no flywire, mosquitoes were a problem. David would spray his room before bed each night and wait until the spray settled before going in. I remember painstakingly trapping a ton of mozzies in a jar and releasing them into his room just before his bedtime. Seems diabolical today, but felt so right back then. Actually, we could both be pretty tricky on occasion. David had a fling with one of my Year 12 friends on the sly, and didn't confess until much later, after she'd told me about it. And I remember sneaking into his favourite jeans, replacing them carefully in his cupboard, and then lying through my teeth when he held them up later with a perplexed frown and asked if I knew how the hip section got saggy. I only told him when it was safe to, long afterwards when I had my own wardrobe of soft blue denim. As adults, I'm sure I've helped David deal with his own life's miseries at times, but I'd say overall, he has helped me more with mine. His having specialized in psychiatry has definitely been a plus on those occasions when I've faced traumas like love gone wrong and the deaths of dear ones. He's offered me invaluable insights to help me through, his dry humor permeating some of these insights and making me laugh despite the gravity of the situation. Once I asked him, after a particularly stressful time, whether he thought I could be psychotic. No, he replied. I don't think you could ever be psychotic. The best you can aim for is neurosis. David now lives near the banks of the Murrumbidgee in Wagga. He's always loved his bushy riverside, where he walks daily and has exhaustive knowledge about which wild plants are edible and which are deadly. I often joke that if Australia ever experiences a famine, I will give up my love of the sea and go live in Wagga so he can feed me. Because of distance, these days David and I share virtual rather than physical hugs, but have regular long phone calls where we talk about our lives back then, the people, the fun things we did, along with all the risky stuff. Also about our lives right now, the people, the fun things we're doing, without perhaps so much risky stuff. Most importantly, though, we discuss our dreams for the future, challenges to overcome, exciting things to do, life to live. Such a wonderful world, made even better for having David in it. The end.